Welcome to Universal Design Stories of Change. This podcast series aims to gather the experiences of persons with disabilities in Norway and internationally in order to gain a greater understanding of the benefits of universal design for persons with disabilities and everyone. We would like to thank the Norwegian Directorate for Children, Youth, and Families for their support, and the amazing team from Inclusive Creation for making it all happen. Enjoy this episode.
What about government institutions?
God. Burn them down and start from scratch.
I have said this about education so much.
Yeah.
Okay, so who's on your shit list?
Everyone.
Everyone, all of the above.
Yeah.
If you could call, I mean to say not call out, let's say call in one institution that you think is doing good but could do better. Maybe not good, maybe that's too strong a word to use, are doing okay?
Honestly, I think the most ADHD friendly, well, they wouldn't even be government because it would be the private healthcare stuff because they have all the money to invest in the apps and in the
What's the difference
Skyclass,
then?
and
What's the differences for you?
you can get what you need without having to talk to anybody.
So with private, you can just get what you need. You don't need to interact with people.
Yeah.
But with public, you basically have to call
Yeah.
or see somebody.
Yeah, and then they make it hard because they're trying to get stuff I don't know, there's a web page where you supposedly can get an appointment to see your doctor, right? But then it never works, and then you try to call them, and then it tells me we're open from then till then, and I'm calling between the opening hours, but they're still not picking up, and it's so it sort of, I don't know, it sort of makes it so that you're just you know what, fuck it.
Yeah.
I'm not even gonna go to the doctor.
I just won't even
And
bother.
that's not a good thing,
It's not the right incentive.
No, definitely not.
So walk me through the private experience then. So the public experience is just as you described. What would be the private experience?
Well, just go online, pick the doctor you want, see what they have available, pick a day, and that's done. And then you just show up, and then and obviously they're opening hours and all of that. And I just want to say that I vote for the party Rødt, so I'm not for the private anything,
healthcare, no, but when you think
know.
about the services they're offering.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that definitely could and should be adopted. I understand the funds are a lot more limited and all of that, but I don't know. I think there's little changes that could be done to just, maybe it's just about who they hire to program their app or their web page or, but I feel the less steps you have to go through, it's like trash cans, right? There's one there and there's one on that corner, but there's not one here. So chances are people are just going to leave their trash here. They're not going to cross the street to go to that one, right?
No, they're just going to dump it where they're at.
So it's the same thing with everything. The least amount of steps you have to go through will sort of increase the chances of a person finalizing whatever it is, right?
What do you think, can you think of a good way for an organization like a hospital or a doctor's office to get these kinds of insights?
I think I don't know. There's so many problems in a system, in healthcare systems, and a lot of the times the people on top haven't in a very long time, if ever, worked
at the lowest levels.
Yeah. And I don't even know if they have anybody who thinks about that stuff.
Yeah. I get it.
Someone would have to worry about it and to be able to think, okay, how can we figure out if there is a... And I've worked not worked, but I had my internship for 3-4 months at the ER. And it becomes this thing where it's the patients against the healthcare personnel, because The people who work there are obviously frustrated with the workload
Yeah.
because, okay, healthcare-wise, people are really stupid, most of, they like, oh, my son had a headache, so then I bring him and my 5 kids at 9 p.m. on a Friday to the ER because the doctor's office is closed. It's like, okay, chances are your son is fine. He just has a headache. Maybe
Yeah.
he needs sleep. Maybe he needs water. And then they come and it's like, oh, I have to wait. And it's like, yeah, you have to wait because you're not a priority,
Yeah.
So it's like people do a lot of dumb stuff that creates situations that creates frustration on all parts. But I think also it's easy for healthcare professionals to sort of forget how it is to be a
To be the
a
patient.
healthcare muggle.
Yeah.
They don't have the information, they don't have the knowledge, they don't have they just have whatever symptoms they're experiencing and whatever amount of fear that comes with it.
Yeah, so it sounds like you're pointing to a couple of different things. One is that kind of apathy, the I don't care attitude,
Yeah.
or even maybe not purposefully I don't care, but like unconcerned, we'll say, from a higher level.
Yeah.
And then there's the lowest level, and it's also the inexperience of the highest level at what it's like being at the lowest level. And then there's the issues at the lowest level when it comes to providing good quality service to as many people as possible.
Yeah.
And that tension between the needs of the population and
Yeah, and if you look at the top and the bottom, all the top ever cares about is cutting costs, right? And that is always going to, end up badly for the people on the floor and for the people receiving the care.
So even having a consideration about, okay, how can we make our services more ADHD friendly? This is never going to hit their radar.
No, definitely not.
No.
No.
What do you think it would take?
I don't know. I think like the whole tech incorporation in healthcare is like the number one sort of push.
It's where things can move forward.
Yeah, definitely. Now, are public healthcare institutions ever going to be able to afford a piece of tech or software that's like good enough?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Like even when we're working in the nurse, the home nursing, and it's like we have an app and a system that is developed for Apple products,
Okay.
and they all have Android because it's cheaper.
Okay.
So it's like the hardware and the software is always working against each other,
Okay.
and I don't know.
So even on the inside, you saw things that were not really, they didn't quite make sense.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know. So there's just like sticks in the wheels on all ends,
It's,
But I mean, you also see a lot of things that they are doing right. Like they've developed this app that they put on patients' phones,
okay.
and then they get like alerts to, for instance, you have to check your blood pressure, and then you have to like cross out the thing, and then once there's like a healthcare professional checking that you have done it, and then they can like text you through the app if it doesn't, if you don't do it, and then they can send somebody to your house like if it doesn't. So obviously that's a great thing.
Yeah.
And,
Again, for somebody who might have ADHD, that's incredibly handy.
Yeah,
I mean, I imagine just having a checklist.
I have that now.
Okay.
That app because I always struggled with everything that has to do with like the house,
Yeah,
like
sure.
keeping things tidy and eating, like everything, from like going to bed to waking up to everything that's like outside of the house is easy peasy lemon squeezy. But when it comes to like
In the house.
the core, it's like I just forget or So at first I had like this two. It was funny because there's a person that worked with me when I was like way younger, the department she worked in, they removed it, cutting costs, obviously. Because that was like a nurse, and I do not remember the name. Yeah, I think it's remember the Canadians in the summer camp? They were all going to do, I think it's what they were doing.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're talking about the summer school that you attended
Yes.
alongside a group of Canadian students that came from an occupational therapy school
Occupational
in
therapy.
Canada.
That's exactly
Canada.
what it is.
Canada.
Yeah.
Canada.
Definitely not Canada. Yeah. So an occupational therapist and a nurse were like working together to help people help themselves in their home, sort of.
Okay.
But they removed that department. But then I, by chance, I think the occupational therapist who was on my case many years ago, she saw my case files or whatever for this new, we had applied for like some sort of help to help me help myself in the home.
Okay.
And they had just said like, we don't have anything to offer you, or you can have like regular just therapy, like conversational therapy, 1 hour every 2 weeks. And I'm like, oh yeah, that's gonna make me like super tidy.
It's gonna change everything.
It's gonna change it all.
Come on. I mean, is that even the right? It just doesn't make any sense.
Nope.
It's like whenever I have colleagues who are deaf or hard of hearing, and they'll go to the airport and ask for accommodation, and they'll bring them a wheelchair. And it's like,
now I can hear everything.
Yes, now suddenly everything's like, no, I don't need like support for my mobility. I need support because of the hearing.
Yeah, like my legs work, you know? Yeah.
Okay, so they tried to give you therapy, then what happened?
Then this person who hasn't seen me or, spoken to me for like 7 years saw my case file, I think, because she was now working in the office that's like handing out, and she called me, and she was like, hey, Alva, do you remember me? And I was like, yes, I do. And she said, I'm going to try and see if I can find something.
Okay.
Because this is not good enough. So what she did was she called a department that is like home rehabilitating for people who have had a stroke or I don't know, broken their backs or whatever. Yeah. And she was like, I'm going to ask them if they want to take a look at your case.
Okay.
And see if they're willing to see what they can do.
Okay.
And they did.
Uh-huh.
So they have like a 6-week setup, sort of, where they work, it's like 2 or 3 times a week for 6 weeks, like very intensively. And first they have like a bunch of, what's it called? You have to like answer a bunch of questions, and then they give you like, oh, this you can do, this you can't do, where do you need help, what's the hardest, what's the easiest. And it felt so stupid because all of these questionnaires are designed for like the elderly and sick people. So we were all sitting there like kind of laughing. It was like, this feels so absurd.
Yeah.
But then when I got the results, I was like, oh my God, it's ridiculous how accurate it is.
Okay.
And I was like, and it just got me thinking, because I think a lot of people with ADHD struggle with these things, but there are things that nobody ever speaks about. Because if you have kids, then you're afraid that if I tell you that I struggle with like laundry and all that, then somebody might want to take my kids away from me or think that I'm not a good parent.
Yeah, I was
right?
going to say, at least judge you.
Yeah, and it's like shameful, and nobody understands that can be so difficult to do.
Yeah, sure.
Because it's easier for them.
Yeah.
Like me, everyone's like, but Alva, you're so good at all these things. That's nothing. And I'm like, to me, that's way worse. Like, I'd rather speak on like a stage in front of thousands of people about whatever. That's easier for me than just like doing laundry. Or remembering to fold my laundry and put it in the cabinet,